Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here again, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people. I want to talk to you for a moment about God's way versus man's way. I'm actually saying God's way versus money. We have this thing about the beginning of time, and whenever we start learning about the beginning of time to where we are today. And it appears as if money has always been there as a measure of exchange. We've talked about something called barter, and you know what that was basically all about. But what it's actually saying is the way that humankind have conducted trade. That is that experience during that period of time. And so what you have is a system that, when it refers to biblical stance, it uses our time to suggest what was happening in those times. And it reminds me of so much of the things that's happening today. For instance, we talk about homosexuals. For some strange reason, I've been hearing a lot of that talked about and people putting it down. And I really don't know what homosexuality come from. Yeah, I know about the story of Sodom and Gomorrah and all of that. I also know that there was a time when blacks weren't even considered as human beings. Blacks weren't considered as human beings. At least the gay people are considered as human beings. They just supposedly got their sexuality mixed up. Now, so I know that while they were saying that blacks weren't human beings, they were. So what I basically have concluded is that there's a lot of messages in everything of life, even the Bible. But I've also concluded that if God was magnificent enough to speak to anybody back in times past, then any God that I could respect would be a God that could speak to people during the present, especially me, because I want to know from the horse's mouth, I want to know from God, what is it that you want of me? There was a time when they had presented God in such a way, I didn't want to know what God wanted of me, because it seemed like everything God wanted of me was against what I wanted of me. Now I find out God doesn't want that much out of me that isn't me. No. And what it all came from was misunderstanding. People don't know the truth and weren't using the truth, but giving you what they had. But because you allow God to be open, and you're open to God, you can get the truth. But when you close that door, you got somebody telling you everything about God, you don't know what you're going to get. So here's what I'm saying. Here's what the uniqueness of God. God knows that every individual on the face of the earth is going to require certain things to survive. God knows that. God made it that way. Certain things to survive. Some of those things would be, but not all of them, some of them are food. Every human being on the face of the earth would need food. So God made sure that the production of food, that ability, that capability, the role that nature plays in that process has already been established in the earth. Shelter, houses, God knows that. So make a long story short, what God did is made sure that everybody would have to benefit from stuff that's already on the earth, given by the Spirit that gave you the earth. It wasn't given by me, it wasn't given by John, it wasn't given by Sue. It was given by the power we can't see. I call it God. The ability for food, clothing, shelter, education, health care, transportation, infrastructure. These are things that we presently say are essential for our survival. Okay, the resources to meet all of these are given freely from God. These would benefit all of us. Maybe we don't need every benefit from everything, but we have it available to us whenever we have a need, a want, or a desire. And it's so fantastic is because that creator made it possible that each of us, every human being on the face of the earth, some of you get drafted to go to the military. Some of you get drafted to do this or to do that. But this, everybody is given a part in the process of creating all of the resources to make sure that we have such an abundance that no one would ever be without any of these things. By doing that, everybody is blessed because they get a chance to choose a career or job, whatever they want to call it, that they love, that gives them their greatest joy, whatever it is. And whatever you choose is going to fall in the category, in one of these categories of what are essentially necessary to follow and create what we have determined we want and establish it on earth, in America, all over the globe, wherever. This, my friends, is God looking out for us. This is how they say that will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Didn't cost us anything. It was joy from Jump Street because you started with a career that you loved. And while you were doing what you were doing, you were creating all the stuff that mankind have determined they won't need. And it did it in such abundance, nobody got to suffer for anything. We live in peace, we're prosperous, we're free, we're joyous and happy. We live our dreams. Yes, our needs, our wants, and our desires. We never have to lie, cheat, steal, hate, create, be a racist, a bigot, or live in poverty. None of that. This is God's way. Now, tell me that's the way of the Republicans. Tell me that's the way of the Democrats. No, in each of those ways, in order to get anything that God has already designed that I just got through sharing with you that's free, in each of those it costs you money. And how do you get that money? That money comes from other people. People who, in order for you to get that money, have designed what they want you to do, what outcome they are seeking, what role they want certain people to play, and who will play is determined, what roles is determined by the amount of money you get. All of those games, putting you against one another, saying that some are better and others are worse. And when you get back to that homosexual stuff, this is where they say the same practice, you can and you can't. But by my understanding, based upon the concept I've just got through presenting to you, is that we don't know if God, we said all the things that God created is good. I didn't create me. Who created a gay person? Gay person says God. We who are not gay say God didn't. Why? Because of the story of the Sodom and Gomorrah. We don't know what is going on in that regard. We don't know what God is creating, but we do know how we are supposed to respond. If we can't see God in it, then we are supposed to have enough of love and compassion to find out what is the force behind it. And knowing what the force is, we eliminate the cause. But human beings, we have to love them the same. You can't love a gay person any different than you love a straight person. So when you are making that determination between what's straight and what is gay and how to treat the different ones, it is the same thing as making a decision between God's way of life and man's way of life, which is money. And by choice, you can look around you and it is obvious the choice that have been made. Whatever the reason might be, pure ignorance, didn't know any better, misled, deceived, whatever, it's still the same thing, and it's heading straight for the destruction. But every now and then, someone gets the word, and they themselves are challenged to live the word before all of the darkness of the world. So one little spaceship out in the universe shining the truth of love, shining the truth of God. One little spaceship out there. It's lonely out there. It's very lonely. But when you look at that little one little spaceship, you see all of the people happy. Why? Because all the people are satisfied with life. Why? Because all the people are doing what they wanted to do. Why? Because it was designed that way, and it gives them their greatest happiness. And they do all the things that makes them satisfied with life. Wow. So I just thought I'd say that to you today, and let you know that if you want to make a real difference in life, you got to go all the way. There are those who are trying to take us, I'll take every kind of right you got away from you. So you should be going the opposite direction, making sure every right you think you got. And nobody can argue with you. Why? Because it only brings life. I want to thank you so very much, ladies and gentlemen. Hope I didn't waste your time. Until next time, Eddie Marcus saying goodbye for now.